What's up guys, welcome to Film and TV Reviews. Today I'm reviewing Bad Times at the El Royale, a film about a group of strange individuals with very interesting backstories gathering together at a hotel on the border of California and Nevada. To say much more would really go into spoilers. The whole point of this film is trying to work out why they're there, because they've each got their own agendas and mysteries, and it's really quite an interesting film. On the whole, I liked it. So, I've just mentioned all the mysteries surrounding these characters. It's probably the best thing about this film, trying to work out what's going on, why the characters are there. There's a lot of surprises, a few twists and turns and reveals throughout the film. It really keeps you on your toes. It really does a good job at making you want to find out the answers. And yeah, it's a long film as well, so a lot of these things don't get answered till right near the end. And that's a good thing. The problem is that once these mysteries are revealed, once the characters have revealed why they're there, what they're up to, it's instantly a little less interesting. There are some characters where you find out fairly soon why they're there, and at that point that character kind of just becomes a little less interesting. And there are other characters who you never get the full story of until right near the end of the film. So it's a little mix and match there of what is and isn't interesting, and it means that you do have to rely on liking all of the characters in order to like the majority of this film. The biggest problems with this film though is that it is long. It is 2 hours 20 minutes roughly, and the way that this film tells its story is in chapters. It's very stop and start. For example, you have a character John Hamm plays. His story is very much the first 45 minutes of the film, then someone else's story, and each story builds momentum and excitement till it gets to a certain big moment, and then all of a sudden you're seeing someone else's and it starts again. So it's really disruptive pacing wise, and the momentum just keeps going up and then back down, up and back down. So it's a very jarring, frustrating film to watch at times because of that. Perhaps if they told the film entirely in chronological order, and rather than going backwards and forwards so much in the first half of the film, it might have been a little better. I don't know. Any film fans out there might have think that this is very Quentin Tarantino inspired, and yes it is. This is very much a Quentin Tarantino-esque film. It's told in chapters, it's in a secluded individual place for the most part. The characters are all quirky and interesting in their own ways. This is Drew Goddard trying to be Quentin Tarantino, but just not quite hitting the mark. One of the problems I had with the story is the overall theme and message. It kind of felt a little pointless in the end. Obviously, I'm not going to go into spoilers just yet, but this film is about redemption, plain and simple. Beyond that, there's just no purpose. It doesn't really give you a reason to care about the characters all that much. A lot of these characters, with one or two exceptions, are bad people. So trying to root for them, trying to get behind them is tough. So to talk a little bit more about the characters, I think John Hamm is the best thing in the film. He's brilliant, but sadly, without going into spoilers or too specific details, he's just not in the film enough. The main character of the film is very much Jeff Bridges' character. Jeff Bridges, great actor. Again, can't really go into who he's playing or why he's there, but he does a good job because his character does have one of the more interesting and more developed backstories, one of the more emotional stories in the film as well, I would say. And that's not to say that Jeff Bridges and John Hamm are the only interesting characters in this. I think all of the characters are somewhat interesting, just they are the standout ones. Chris Hemsworth shows up, and his character is more annoying and frustrating than anything else. He's playing a cult leader, I can say that much. His character's just more weird than anything else. You don't really find out much about him. Yeah, that's a little disappointing. So to talk about the production and the practical side of things, the set of the hotel itself, particularly the main lounge and lobby, is really good. Very well designed, very good looking, very colourful. The split between Nevada and California is well done. They've all got, despite it being the same building, half of the building is one colour and the other half is another. It really meshes well, and it's all set in the 60s as well, so it makes sense visually speaking. The props, costumes are great as well. It is a 60s film, like I said, so it's adherent to period detail. The acting is great. I've talked about the momentum and pacing issues that I have with the film. That's one downside of it. The soundtrack is also pretty good. There's a lot of recognizable songs in the film. It really makes the film pop and helps build some sort of emotion and mood throughout there. It's really well done that way on. The problem is that this film is filled with so much potential, so many interesting elements, and it gets so close to being great, it just doesn't quite grasp it, and I can't really figure out why that is. That, like I said, I do like this film. I just don't think it's great, and I'd really bugging is that I can't quite nail why that is. I hope you've liked this review. I am going to go into spoilers in just a little bit, but first, if you're going to leave this here, come back, watch the film, then come back and watch the spoilers. I've been your host, Grant Burton. I'd appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel, gave me a thumbs up, liked this video, shared it across social media, let other people know about it, because if you don't like it, someone else might. And leave a comment and some feedback down below. Tell me what you think of Bad Times at the El Royale. And of course, go to Twitter and Instagram, follow me at _Grant Burton. Any sort of support would really be appreciated though. So, I'm going to go into spoilers, so if you're leaving, thanks for watching. Full spoilers now. One of the big MacGuffins of this film, the object that everyone's kind of desiring, is a tape of a recording. It's never revealed who's on this recording or what's on this recording. It's always implied to be something to do with a high politician. I just assumed it was the president, and I assumed it was some sort of sexual thing. I don't know. But it's never revealed, which is a little disappointing. But yeah, you don't really need to know what was on it, I suppose. It's more the idea of it and what it represents. But that's a lot about this film, is that it brings up these great ideas and great moments and interesting little aspects, but it never quite fully goes into detail about them. So another one, for example, is you never find out who owns the hotel, or why they're monitoring everyone, why they've got all these secret corridors and recording everyone. I'd very much like to know that information. I think it's quite important. But yeah, it's just mentioned and then kind of ignored. So I talked about John Hamm being the best character in the film. Well, he's not in the film all that much because he's the first person to die. And I was really quite surprised by that. Not so much how he died, just when he died. He must only be in the film for about maybe an hour, less than that maybe. And yeah, it was really disappointing, but surprising to see him be the first one to go. So Jeff Bridges is the main character. I liked him, but here's the thing, he is a bad guy. The whole film surrounding his character is very much about redemption, and the film tries to make you like this guy. It tries to make you relate to this guy. Well, the problem is, he is just straight up a bad guy. And once you find out his backstory, and you figure out that, yeah, this is not a guy you should be supporting, this is not a guy you should be rooting for, it becomes a little iffy for me because, like I said, I like this guy. And I do not want to relate to this guy. But it does that anyway, mainly because of the emotional element, the fact that he does have Alzheimer's or dementia, one or the other. It does try to tug on your heartstrings a little bit and feel sorry for him. But at the end of the day, he's a bad guy. You shouldn't be feeling that way about him, really. Also, at the first half of this film, he's very much one of the more mysterious individuals in the film. And once you find out his backstory, once you find out why he's there, what's going on with his life, what is and isn't real about his character, he just becomes a little less interesting, which is annoying because he's in the entirety of the film. So one of the more disappointing characters in the film was Chris Hemsworth's cult leader character. You never find out too much about him. He's always really more annoying and frustrating than anything else. You never find out why exactly the sister's character loved him so much. Why was he looking for her? Why does he do anything? It never really goes into full detail or explanation about him or his followers or anyone relating to him. And that just felt a little underdeveloped to me and a little disappointing. So that's what I think of Bad Times at the El Royale. I hope you've liked this review. Go through the rigmarole, like, subscribe, share, follow me on Twitter and Instagram, so on and so forth. But that's all I've got for this review, so thanks for watching.